Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to CAD Lab 2. In today's video, we will discuss the rotational blending and general type of blend in detail. But before that, let me show you the parallel blend option in Creo environment also. So right now I am in the Creo environment and I am in the part module. So if you in the Prostrusion menu, if you click on the shapes, you will find that parallel blend option. So if I click on that, it will take you to the parallel blend menu, and you can see different options or parameters related to the parallel blending in the dashboard area. So like Proe, it does not pop up that particular dialog box which normally guides you through the procedure of the blend command or any other command. So in the Creo you have to do all those steps by yourself. So that is why normally I say to my students that if you are a beginner user, so it is always better to start with the Proe and then you can switch later on to the Creo version, because in most of the commands Proe guides you through that particular dialog box step by step. Anyhow, let us start with the parallel type of blend in Creo. So at the main dashboard area you can see all those options which normally you have in the Proe also. So you can blend two or multiple objects as a solid body. You can use the surface options. You can use the thickened option, and then you do have these two modes of the profiles available, in which you can go for a new profile sketching within the command, or if you already have created the sketches and you simply want to select them, so you can use the selected sections options. If you look at the tabs of the dashboard, so again the section tab is red in color, and this means that that particular option needs your attention. So if I click on that, so you will see the sub options of that particular tab, which is again those two options. So you can go for a new sketch or you can go for the selection of existing sketch. So we do not have any sketches, so I will again use the sketch sections options. So ये आप यहाँ से भी select कर सकते हैं, or you can use these shortcut tabs as well. So right now in the listing, we have only section 1 tab available, and you will have to define that. So section 1 जो है वो active है, you can select it from an existing sketches or you can define. So I will hit the define key. So as soon you click on that button, so as you want to sketch that profile, so you have to select the sketching plan and then the orientation for that. So let me pick, suppose, this top plan as my sketching plan, and I will leave the orientation to the default value, which is the right plane, and it will be parallel to the right side of the screen. Then I will hit the sketch key. So here now you can sketch any close profile for the blending. So let me again start with the circle. So if I make a simple profile, you can dimension it to any value. So let us convert it to some round figure, for example 350 units. So one thing that we did not cover in the previous video with reference to parallel blending is the, for example, if you want to blend a circle to any closed profile that has multiple edges. We did cover all other options, but circle, rectangle, circle, pentagon, or circle with multiple edges option, we did not cover that. So suppose I want to make next section as a rectangle, or any other closed entity. So suppose our next section will be a rectangle. So rectangle or square has four edges, or you can say four corners. So you must then have 4 points available on that circle also, because right now we do not have any points around that circumferential periphery. So we do have the center points, but the center point can only be joined with a point, which we did in the last video. For example, if you want to make a conical section, so you can use then the circle and a point option, but not in this case. If you have a rectangle, or let us say a triangle or pentagon or hexagon, so then you must define those number of points on that periphery. So for that you have to edit then the circle, and we can easily define points by dividing that circle in the total number of points that we will be needing. So here suppose if I want to divide this circle in 4 points, so you can always go to the edit menu, and edit menu में अगर आप देखते हैं तो you can find that divide option. So it is available. So divide command basically divides any segment into the desired number of segments that you will define. So if I hit the divide key, so then it will ask you to pick a point on that circumferential area. So I can take any point as my dividing point. So as we need 4 points, so I will start with the quadrants. So this is, let us say, my first point, dividing point. This is the second dividing point. This is third, and this one is the next one. So I have divided this circle into 4 segments. So right now we do not have a circle, but we do have 4 arcs. So we have 4 points, and then those 4 points can be joined with the square or rectangle. So once you complete the sketch, so you can click on the OK button. And now if you go back to the section tab, so here you can see in the list that you have one section, and now you will be requiring at least one section more to go with the blend command. So, and of course we are using the parallel blend option. So the next section that you will draw or sketch, that will be by default parallel to that existing circle. And then we will also define the offset distance in between those two sketches. So and of course you can go back to section number 1. If I click on section number 1, so you can edit that. So you can go back, you can do your editing commands, and then simply click on the OK button. Will update the existing entity. So right now I will click on section number 2, and I will define that. So you have to sketch that. But before that, you also have to set those parameters, that what or how the second section will be created. So again I will use the offset dimensions like we did in the previous video in Proe. So I can use some reference. Reference will be an existing plane or sketch or something else. But let me use the offset dimension, because that part was covered in the Proe. So I will give the offset dimension, and that offset value will be given through this text box. So suppose I want to have 200 units distance in between the entities. So it will be 200, and what will be the reference for that? So as I have selected the sketch option, so it will be from section number 1, which was that circle which we had divided it in 4 different segments. So right now we only have that particular profile. So अगर आपके पास multiple sketches hongi, profiles hongi. So then it will be available in those listing, and then you can set that offset distance with any reference. So you will set those parameters and then simply hit the sketch tab. So it will again bring you back to the sketcher mode, and then whatever sketch you make here, it will become the second profile. So as I said, I will go for a rectangle. So let me make a rectangle and look at the starting point of the rectangle. So मैं कोई भी point ले सकता हूँ, but suppose I want to start it from this end, and this is the other corner. So I am in this direction. So this will be the first point of the rectangle, and as I have defined the other corner in the clockwise direction, so this will be your first point, second point, third point, and fourth point. And normally blending में मैंने आपको बताया था कि it will join the first end point of the first profile with the first of the second. So it will try to right now in this case it will be impossible because it has to twist that particular edge along this edge. So it may give an error, so that can be fixed later on. But let us say this is our first point of the second entity, and this was the first point of the first profile. So when you complete the sketch, so you can click on the OK button. Otherwise you can go for the dimensions, so you can set those dimensions. You can alter them. Again, it is a rough sketch, so let it be like this. Okay, let us move it a little bit to the center. So I will hit the green check mark button. Okay. And now you can see that it has accepted that particular profile because the number of corner points are same, but it is not generating that particular result for you. And this is because of those start points, that they are completely opposite to each other. So what you can do now is that if you go back to section number 1, or I can edit section number 2 also. So let me edit section number 1. So if I click on section number 1 and then hit the edit key, so I can change the location of the start point. So let me pick this point or this point, it will be okay. So if I, let us say, click on this point, so as I said in the last video, at first you have to select the point, highlight that point, and then when you hit the right mouse button, so a pop-up menu appears in which you can modify that point. So you can have the blend vertex option, the delete option, the copy option, or the start point option. So if I click on the start point, so it will take this as the start point for the first entity. And you can also change the direction by again selecting that point, and then if you click the start point again, so you can change the direction. So let me close the first sketch. Okay, and now you can see that it has generated that particular result for you because it can now join these two edges. And of course the smooth option and the line option, the straight edge options are available in the options menu. So you can use the straight or the smooth profile option. But right now we have two sketches. So if you click on if you select the straight option or the smooth option, so it will not be affected. So if you have two profiles, so nothing happens if you go for the straight option or smooth option, because it will remain the same. So if you have a third section, so then it does affect the geometries. So let us make another profile as well. So I will go for another section, if you are in section number 1 or section 2, it doesn't matter. When you click the insert key, so a third section will be inserted. So you can remove any existing section, or you can insert a new section for a new profile. So if you want to add a third one, so I will simply hit the insert key. So it will add a third section, and then you can activate that. You can use the offset dimension distance. So let it be again, suppose 200 units, and now we have two sections. So in that particular listing, those sections will be available. So what will be that 200 unit offset distance? It will be from section 1 or section 2. So that will be on your selection. So suppose if I want to use section number 2 as my reference for the third one. So in between the second profile and third profile, the offset parallel distance will be 200 units. So once you set the parameters, again click on the sketch tab, and then it will again bring you back to the Sketchup. So here again I will make a profile which will have 4 endpoints, so that must be a square or a rectangle. So let me draw that in the same orientation. So this will be my first point, second, third, and fourth, like the previous one. So if I now hit the OK button, now you can see the effect of the straight and smooth. So if you set it to straight option, so it will try to join these corner points through straight lines, and if you click the smooth option, so they will join these points through smooth curves options. And again, if I go back to, let us say, section number 3, this one, and I hit the sketch key, so it will take you back to the that particular sketch. And suppose I take this point and then right click and select this as my start point. So now you will have that particular twist in between these two sections. So this corner will be joined with the first one of the second one profile. So if I hit the OK button, so now you can see that effect. And you can hit the option key all the time, and you can now see that it has joined these corners through straight lines. So you can use the smooth option or the straight option, and of course you can use the surface option. So it will blend these as a surface entity. If you are in the solid, so you can use the thick option, and then you can give that wall thickness, whatever wall thickness is the required value. So you can type into that, और ये तीन options भी available है आपके पास. So the thickness can be totally to one side or to the other side, or it can be set to the mid section. So by default it will be set to the mid section. So half of the thickness will be added to one side of the profile, half to the other side. This green color entity represents the actual profile. So it can be totally towards the internal region, outside, या mid section पे आप कर सकते हैं. And of course, if you are in the surface, so surface में again you will get the open ends, but if you want to close that, so again you can go to the options, और ये cap end का surface की जो भी command होगी that will be available. So you can use the cap end option to close those open regions, but still that particular object will be hollow inside. So you can use that particular option also. So let me change it back to the solid option, and once you complete all the requirements, so you can simply click on the OK button and you will get the desired result. So let me switch back to the Proe. I will open that, and then we will continue with the rotational and the general blend option. So Here we are in the Proe environment. I'm in the part module. So like I said earlier, that these options, blend or sweep options, are not available in the main tab area. So you have to click the insert tab, and then within the insert you will find that protrusion menu. So we have now covered the extrude command, revolve command, sweep command, the blend command. In the blend, we have covered the rotation, the parallel blend in Proe as well in the Creo. So I will use the other two options for blending, that is the rotational blend and the general type of blending. So if I go into the sub menu, so I can use that surface option or thin option or protrusion. So again I will go for the solid protrusion. So I will click on the protrusion key. A main pop-up appears. First you have to select the type of the blend, parallel, rotational or general. So I will hit the rotational option, and then again it will be a selection of the sections or sketch sections. So we will sketch sections, and they will be regular sketches. So my selection is rotational, set to regular section and sketch sections. I will hit the done key. So now this dialog box will guide us through the rest of the procedure. So right now we are in the attributes phase. We have to define the attributes for the blend. So attributes may, as we discussed in the previous video, that we can have a straight type of blending or smooth blending, and as we are in using the rotational options, so rotational options may you can have an open circle or you can have a full rotation. So these two options are used for that. Either you will close that sketch or you want to use the open option. Let me first select the open, and later on we can change once we have the blended object. So I will set it to the open mode. So my selection is right now set to straight edges, and it will be an open sketch, not sketch but an open 3D part, and I will click the done key. So attributes have now been defined, and we will now sketch the sections. So if you look at this arrowhead, so it is pointing to the section, and we are in the defining mode or phase of that particular sketch. So again methodology remains the same. You have to select the plane and the sketching plane. So I will select the plane option, and here I will select any plane as my sketching plane. So suppose front plane, view direction, OK कर दूंगा. Orientation, I will click on the default option, so I will get that default value. And now we are in the sketcher and we can make any sketches. So in this part we will also cover one additional feature that is available within the sketch, which is the file system. So let me first make any sketch. So I will use simple lines and will make multiple entities, so that okay, let me make a simple sketch, but I have multiple points within that sketch. So make the sketch, go for the dimensions accordingly, जो भी आपके dimensions हैं, and then let me a little bit modify that. So okay, let us say this is your final sketch. So now at this point, if I hit the check mark button, so it will give you this error message. section is incomplete for reason listed in the message area. And if you look into the message area, so it is about a coordinate system entity which is missing. So let me show you that we are in the blend command, but within the blend we are in rotational blend. So rotational blend means you have to revolve that profile around certain axis. So you need to define that axis for this section. But it is asking for the coordinate system, and this is because we can rotate or we can revolve these sections along the x-axis, along the y-axis, along the z-axis. So instead of the axis which is available in the line command, you need to define a coordinate system in case of the rotational blend. So coordinate system का जो icon है, that is available in this last tab of the sketch entities. एक point का option है, एक आपके पास coordinate system का option है. So if I click on the coordinate system, so I can define now that coordinate system anywhere with reference to that particular entity. So for example, if I want to revolve this entity along this edge, so I can pick this point as my axis of rotation, but in that case you will not have any like internal circular hollow spacing in between the revolve object. And suppose let me give some offset distance of the axis from the original entity edge. So suppose मैं यहाँ पे define कर देता हूँ. So once you define that, you can also set the offset distance in between your axis and the entity. So suppose it is, let us say, 50 units. So now we will have that 50 units of hollow space or hole, you can say, in that revolved object. So once you complete the sketch and you define your axis of revolution, so then you can hit that check mark button. So if I click on that, so then it will ask you to enter the y-axis rotation, क्योंकि हमने इसके बिल्कुल फ्रंट पेज है वो डिफाइन किया हुआ है. So that axis is basically the y-axis. So now you have to define another section because we are in the blend command, and blend command normally you will need to define multiple sections, and it basically joins those sections. अगर पैरेलल में आप हो तो पैरेलल sketches या entities आपके पास होंगी. If you are in the rotational blend option, so definitely, so then you have to sketch multiple entities which will be at certain rotation angle from one another. So let it be 45 degrees. So I will click the enter button, and then it will bring you to a sub sketcher in which you will have to make the next profile. अच्छा, बाज़ केसेस में ये भी हो सकता है कि इफ़ यू लुक इनटू दैट पर्टिकुलर स्केच जो कि पहले अभी हमने एक फर्स्ट स्केच बनाया, सो इट हैड मल्टीपल end points. So sometimes you will not be able to remember the total number of edges or the multiple points. So a ready reference will always be available to you. So when you are in the sketcher, ज़रूरी नहीं है कि आप blend के option में हो. You can always go back to the sketch tab, and then you can find this useful option, data from file. So if you want to use an existing sketch that you have saved, या current environment में अगर आपके पास कोई sketch हो and you want to use that, so you can always use this data from file option. So when you are in the sketch, simply go to the sketch tab, data from file, and you can go to the file system. So if I hit the file system key, so it will take you to the file opening session, and here you can pick any sketch that you have created in any like for example in the working directory or in any other folder. But if you look into this listing, the first tab that is available is the in session tab. So in session tab is basically the current session. So within the current session, right from the start, the total number of sketches that you have created, that will be temporarily available to you. So if I click on the in session option, so right now हमने ये सारे sketches जो है बनाए हैं. So if you go back to this one or like this one, जो इससे पहले हमने circle बनाया था, so that is available. So the last will always be the current जो इस वक्त जिसमें आप काम कर रहे हैं. So this sketch is the last sketch, and the second last is the previous one जहाँ पे हमने ये profile बनाया था. So if I select that and open this, so I can directly insert that sketch with this new sketch environment. So you can pick any point as your insertion point. So it is basically acting like a block that you have used in AutoCAD. So मैं click कर दूंगा. Suppose I take this as my insertion point. So then this pop-up will appear in which you can set the rotation angle of that sketch and the scale. So अगर आप 1-to-1 करना चाहते हैं, so it will be inserted with the same dimensions, with the same scaling factor that you have created. Otherwise, for example, अगर इसको मैं upscale या downscale करना चाहता हूँ, suppose 0.6, so all the dimensions will be reduced by 60%. So let me use this 0.6 scaling factor for the new sketch, and if I click on the OK button, so it has inserted that particular sketch, but the zooming factor of this new environment was a little bit to the denser end, so you can unzoom that. So this is that your sketch which you had created in the previous session, and now it has exactly taken the same sketch with the new scaling factor, which is 0.6 units. And of course, and you can see that coordinate system has also come with that particular sketch. So for the next step, then you will not be needing to define the coordinate system. वो already automatically उसके पास आ चुका है, because you already have defined that with this particular sketch. And now you can you have that desired number of edges. So आपके total number of corners या total number of end points जो है वो आपके पास आ गए हैं. And now you can modify them also. For example, if I pick this sketch, let me modify it a little bit. Suppose the shape of the next section is like this one. So I have changed basically the shape, but the number of endpoints remains the same. So this means that you can blend this section with the previous one. So once you modify your profile, and if you have that coordinate system or axis of revolution, so simply click on the check mark button. So it will accept that. And now because for blending you must have at least 2 sections, so you have defined 2 sections. Now for the third section it will ask you first, do you want to continue to the next section. तो अगर आप कोई तीसरा सेक्शन डिफाइन करना चाहते हैं तो यू कैन क्लिक द यस की, अदरवाइज नो आप कर सकते हैं. So suppose I want to define a third section also. So I will simply click on the yes. And now it will ask you to enter the angle in between the second and the third. So in between the first and the second section, the total angle of rotation was 45 degree. Let it be 90 degree. I will double it. And rest of the methodology remains the same. It will again take you to the sub sketcher, here you can sketch your profile. अगर आपको number of points और profile का idea हो, you can directly start, or you can always use this data from file option. File system में अगर आप चले जाएं, you can use the in session, and right now this is our current sketcher. This is the second last is the previous one, और उससे पहले जो आपका original entity था. So you can pick any sketch right now. So suppose if I again take that first section as my reference, so I can click on that and I hit the open key, insertion point. I will give the scaling factor. Let it be different. For example, it is 0.8% of the or 0.8 times of the original one, and then I will click the OK button, and then you can use zoom to fit option, या आप mouse button जो है वो कर सकते हैं click zoom to fit अगर आप click कर लें. So this is now your current sketch, which will be treated as a third one. And let me again change some of the dimensions so that it looks a little bit different from the previous one. So suppose this is my third section. So once you complete the sketch, click the OK button, and again it will ask you to go for the next section. So if you want to make another sections, you can use the yes key, otherwise you can hit the no button. So sections have been defined now, and now you can go for the preview. You can see that you have got a rotated blended 3D object. So let me change the view orientation to wireframe, so you can see. Let me from this view. So this was my first section. ये जो आपको नजर आ रहा है, ठीक है ना? This is that second section, which is at 45 degree from this one, and the angle in between this second profile or second section and third section is 90 degree. So this is your result, and why you are getting those straight edges. This is because our attributes are selected as the straight options. So it will join basically these corners with straight lines. So if I go back to the attributes and want to define them and want to set it to smooth options, so I can use that. And then if you want to check the preview, so now you have that rotated object. So let me turn off these planes and coordinate system so that you can see. So this will be your required results. And if you look at the cross-sectional area, it also changes with reference to those particular sections. So at the start, thickness of that end edge is larger as compared to the mid section, and this is because अगर आपको याद हो तो we had changed that dimensions to the lesser value as compared to, and this was the third option. And other attribute that you can change is the open or close option. So right now we have if you check the preview, so we have open-ended entity. We have started from this point and it has rotated the body to at 45 degree and then at 90 degree with reference to the section. So if you want to close that, so close में क्या करेगा? So it will try to join the last profile with the first one, whatever radius it is, it might require. If possible, so it will join them. Otherwise, it will give you the error कि ये join नहीं हो सकता. So if I go back to the attributes definition and let me use the straight option. So I will set it to straight, and then I will use the close options. और इसको अगर मैं done करके if I want to check the preview, so it will not generate that, because the attributes is set to straight. So straight में it cannot make straight lines by using the joining methodology if you want to join the last and the first, क्योंकि एंगल इतना ज़्यादा है कि वो straight lines के थ्रू जो है वो आप कवर नहीं कर सकते. So in that case you can use the smooth option, and now if I use the close option and then done and want to preview that, so I can, so this is your final result which you are getting. So it basically starts from this particular sections to that section, और चूंकि हमने close कर दिया है, so it will try or it will force that object to be a closed revolved object depending upon the shape of the first profile and the last profile. So that was a little bit about the rotational type of blend. So now you can see that parallel blend is basically alternative of the extrude command, and rotational blend is alternative of the revolve command. In extrude or revolve, you can generate the entity, it will be generated, but the cross-sectional area throughout the generated path, it remains the same. Extrusion में या revolve में, you can revolve an object, but throughout the revolution the cross-sectional area remains the same. So in parallel blending, parallel is alternative of extrude. Extrude में आपके पास जो है वो 90 degree पे generation होती है. So similarly you can get that 90 degree generation or normal generation using the parallel blending, but in addition to that you can also change the cross-sectional area of that particular solid. And similarly here in revolve or rotational blend, we can revolve an entity to convert it to a solid, and in addition to that we can also change the cross-sectional areas during that revolution. And the third command that we did for normal generation was the sweep command. So in extrude you can generate normal to an entity, revolve में आप के पास revolved object आता है, and sweep में you can go in any direction in a particular plane, but again the cross-sectional area of that generated solid will remain the same. So if you want to go in any direction and you also want to change the cross-sectional area, so for that you will then go for the third option of the blend, which is the general blend option. So for general blend I already have created a sketch, and simply I will open that file for you. So let me go to my working directory. So I do have that general blend command. इसको मैं open कर देता हूँ. Let me delete this. So these are different sketches that I have created, and let me turn on the plane option for you. So what I did in this case is that you can see different planes. So in addition to those default planes, I have defined sketching planes, the datum planes at various angles, and then on those planes I have created different sketches. But you can see that the number of corner points or the number of edges remains the same on all rectangles हैं सब, so blend में आपने ये याद रखना होगा कि number of end points or the number of edges must be same for all the entities. So let me again turn off the planes. So I have these sketches and now I can go for the blending. So you can see that these sketches are going in different directions. ठीक है ना, इसका orientation भी मैंने change किया हुआ है, angle भी change किया हुआ है. you know. So if I go to insert blend protrusion में, and within the protrusion, if you go for a general type of blending, so again you have the sketch section and select section option. So here I have already the sketches, so I will go for the selection method. So यहाँ पे ये select का option जो है ये भी हम cover कर लेंगे, ठीक है ना. So now my setting for this type of blend is the general regular section, and that regular section is a select section already existing circle. So I will hit the done key. So it will ask for the attributes straight or smooth. So जो भी आप select करते हैं, later on we can change that, and then it will ask for that selection because हमने selection का opt किया था. So now I can use the pick curve option or the blend vertex option or start point option once you select a profile. So select profile के लिए ये tab आपके पास है. So you can go for selection of the curve, select loop or select chain. So I have loops, basically a closed entity, so I can, instead of using independent edges, ये भी आप use कर सकते हैं, but you have to then select all the 4 edges of that rectangle. You can go for the loop selection, you can go for the chain selection. लूप जो है वो क्लोज एंटिटीज़ में आप सेलेक्ट करेंगे, और चेन का जो है वो ओपन एंटिटीज़. फॉर एग्जांपल इफ़ यू हैव मल्टीपल आर्क्स और कर्व्स which are joined to one another, so then you can use the chain option, and by selecting any of the entity, the whole set of chain lines or curves will be selected. So I will go for the loop option, and wherever point you click, it will take the whole loop as the entity selection, and by default it has taken this as the start point, और ये आपका direction है. So you can use the blend vertex options if you want to join one point or one corner with multiple corners of the other entity. Otherwise you can also go for the start point option, and you can change that start point. So let this is our first entity, so suppose this is my first point. So after selecting the loop, then you can click on the OK button, and then done return जब आप करेंगे तो selection से बाहर निकल आएगा, and then you are in that particular profile, and you can go for a blend vertex or start point, or you can delete that point. So if I click the done button, so then it will ask for the selection of the second section, because again we are in the blending, so in blend you must at least have 2 profiles. So again I will go for the loop selection, or I will select the second loop, and suppose this is my second loop. So now you can see that it has taken this as the start point, और इसका यहाँ पे है, so you will get that particular twist in between those 2 objects. So within that profile I can go for the start point option, and then I can pick any point as the start point. So again start point, और अगर मैं ये point select करता हूँ, so this will become the start point. अगर आप ये point करते हैं, so ये आपका start point होगा, so आपका ये point start point होगा. So once you are satisfied, so you can click on the OK, or you can directly hit that done button. So let us move step by step. I will click on the OK button, and now when I click on the done button, so then it will ask you to either you want to go for the next section or not. So that will depend upon you कि अगर next section जो है वो आप select करना चाहते हैं. So if I hit the yes key, and then I pick, let us say, the loop option में if I take this point as my अगेन स्टार्ट पॉइंट जो है वो आपका ये होगा. I will click the OK button and then I hit the done key. Continue to next section. So in this way you can go for the selection. So let me take one more section so that I will take this as my start point. I will take this. Okay. So now these are the start points. So you will get that smooth generation of the profiles. Okay. So done again. So you can go for the other sections. So let me stop at this point. So इसको मैं no कर देता हूँ. And now if I want to check the preview, so you can see that it is now generating that particular 3D solid for you using the general blend command. And I can go back to the attributes. I can use the smooth options and done, and then check the preview. So this is now my required result that I am getting. So similarly you can go in any. So here you can see that you can go in any direction at any angle, and also you can change the cross-sectional area of that blended object. So that's it right now for the general type of blending. And we do have these options available in the Creo also. So if you go to the shapes option, so you can use the rotational blend or the general type of blend option. So rotational में अगर आप देखें तो you have all those facilities available. You can go for the sketch sections, you can go for the selections, and once you define your first sketch, so then it will ask you the axis of revolution. So यहाँ पे आपने देना होगा. So let me make one sketch. So if I go for, let us say, the sketch selection option, and then first sketch मैं define करना चाहूँ suppose इस plane पे. So you will make a sketch, any sketch जो कि मैंने बनाया उस previous case में. So let us say this is your first sketch. Okay. And of course you will need to define that axis because you are working in the revolve blend option. So let this be our axis. So if I hit the OK key, now when you go to the sections, so you can generate another section, but here our reference will be the rotation angle. So अगर यहाँ पे for example मैं offset dimension में let us use the 45-degree angle again, and if I hit the sketch tab, so it will rotate that particular view for you at 45-degree angle, and now you can make another sketch. Or here that file system tab is readily available जो कि हमने वहाँ पे use किया. So you can always go to the file system. You can go to your working directory, or you can go to the in session, and within the in session you can pick the second last sketch, which was this one, and then you can set that scaling factor जो भी आपका है. For example 1:1 अगर आप करते हैं, so that will be 1, and also you can give some rotation angle. वो हमने यहाँ पे नहीं किया. Proe में यहाँ पे मैं आपको बता देता हूँ. So it is exactly behaving like blocks in AutoCAD. So once you have inserted that sketch, hit the OK button, and then you can modify that dimension, जो भी आप dimension modify करना चाहते हैं, ठीक है ना, so you can modify them. And then you will hit the OK key, और फिर जो भी आपका required angle होगा उस angle पे आपका जो है वो desired result आ जाएगा. So methodology in both scenarios remains the same. Either you are working in Creo environment or Proe environment, but in Proe normally uh, dialog boxes appear, and through those dialog boxes you can easily move forward step by step. And in Creo you have to invoke those commands through the dialog box, not through the dialog box but through the dashboard area by yourself. So it is always better for the beginners to start with the Proe. So once you get that idea, so then you can move or you can switch to any Creo version. Right now I am working in Creo 6, but Creo 7 जो है वो भी release हो गया है. So nowadays the latest version is Creo Parametric 7. So that's it for this video. Inshallah, in the next video we will cover the helical sweep option and the swept blend option. That's it.